You are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Football Language podcast for learners of English who love football. My name is Damien and I am here in London where we have just had a storm pass over the country. So the weather has been very wet and really windy. What is the weather like where you are? I think the weather in Tokyo, where of course the other member of the team, Damon, is living, is getting a little cooler, which is good. Now, Damon won't be with us this week as he is a little busy, and I am sure it is definitely nothing to do with his favourite team, Liverpool, losing 3 games this week. Sorry, Liverpool fans. Also, apologies for the delay in this week's podcast as it is the start of term here in the UK and things are also a little busy for me.
My name is Hülya Sucu. I am one of Beşiktaş fans. You will listen to languagecaster.com.
Now, how did your favourite football team get on this week? I went to see my team Tottenham play last Saturday in the Premier League against bottom side Wolves and we drew 1-1. Not a great result, but the equaliser came in the last minute, a stoppage time goal. So at least that was good. We then came back to draw against Bodo Glimt in Norway in the Champions League after being 2 goals down. We were very lucky indeed. And this means we have come back after going behind to draw 3 times in our last 3 games. So 3 times we have scored late equalisers to earn a point. This shows good fighting spirit, but maybe we should try and find a way to keep the goals out first.
지금 여러분은 languagecaster.com을 듣고 계십니다.
And before we start with some football language, just a reminder that the domain name is now learnenglishthroughfootball.com, as we think it better reflects who we are and what we do. It's a place for people to learn English through football. You can still find us with the old address of languagecaster.com, and you will hear stingers with that name throughout the show, just like that one which was in Korean. We'd also love it if you can share or like our podcast and maybe tell your friends all about us.
Je luistert naar languagecaster.com.
Yes, that message was in Dutch, and as always, we will have some more stingers or messages throughout the show in different languages. How many will you be able to recognize? And we'll let you know the language at the end of the show. And please send us a message in your own language. Just tell us that you are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast. Or you can tell us in English your name, where you are from, and the team you support. Plus, you are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast. It would be great to hear from you and to get as many messages in different languages as possible.
Berichting Randoi, languagecaster.com.
Great stuff. Right, let's take a look at some language from the week and we'll start with some words and phrases from this week's Champions League. First up, to down an opponent. Right, this week's football language comes from the big Champions League game between Barcelona and PSG. This was a great game to watch, even though both sides were missing lots of players through injury. PSG, the current holders, came from behind to win 2-1 in Barcelona after a wonderful second-half performance. The Guardian newspaper used the phrase PSG downed Barcelona to describe this victory. So, the word down appears in many football expressions. To bring down an opponent means to foul a player from the opposing team, to bring them down. Of course, if a team is relegated, then they go down. They go down a division. They are relegated. But the phrase to down a team means to defeat another team. So when PSG downed Barcelona, it means that PSG defeated Barcelona. They beat Barcelona. It is not such a common phrase and is often seen in newspaper or report headlines to describe quickly what happened in the game. The construction of the phrase is quite simple. Team A downed Team B. We can also change the team name for something else, such as the opponent, or another phrase that describes the opponent, such as they downed the champions, or they downed the hosts, and so on. Has your favourite team downed anyone recently? Or has your favourite team been downed by another team?
Esteu escoltant languagecaster.com.
Now, we received a nice question from Pooji this week on the term swat aside, which is connected to a previous post we did, sweep aside. Pooji asks, can you explain what swat aside means in the following sentence? Manchester City swat aside Stoke City as James Milner sets up comfortable win. Well, thank you very much for the question, Pooji. To swat something means to hit something hard. Maybe a baseball player can swat the ball, or sometimes we might hear that someone has swatted an insect, so they have hit the insect. To swat aside means to move something or someone out of the way. And in football, it suggests that one team has easily defeated or downed their opponent. In this example, the verb swat aside suggests that City's win was an easy one. They easily downed Stoke City. Thanks again, Pooji, for the football language question. And it would be great if listeners want to ask us any more questions about football language. Just send it on to us here at learnenglishthroughfootball.com, or maybe you can post it onto our forum.
My name is Hortensia and I'm from Zaragoza and I'm a Real Zaragoza supporter and you're listening to languagecaster.com.
Now, I recently saw an interview with Bayern Munich's Harry Kane in which the wonderful interviewer, Archie Ring-Tut, suggested that there was a bit of swaz on the shot. Kane has scored from outside the box with a low drive, but the ball had moved or swerved into the goal, so Kane had curved the ball into the net. I think we can say he swazzed it, but I think it might be more common to say that he used some swaz on the ball. Kane then described it as almost like a driven pass, so there was power and accuracy. He then also used a golfing term, fade, which means a ball gently moves from left to right. The direction changes from left to right. So the word swaz is not very common, but this is the meaning. It kind of moves from one side to another, but I think quite powerful shot as well. He gave it some swaz. I wonder, do any of our listeners have any examples of swaz or maybe another term or expression in another language? Let us know.
Właśnie słuchasz languagecaster.com.
Right, next up, it's our predictions. Okay, this week we are going to look at a big game in England on Sunday, which sees Newcastle play Nottingham Forest. Now, Forest changed their manager a couple of months ago, and their new boss, Ange Postecoglou, has not won any of his first 6 matches. It seems that the former Tottenham boss has tried to implement a new style, and it doesn't seem to be working yet. Forest travelled to Newcastle, who have not been so convincing in their opening 6 Premier League matches either, but they did have a fantastic away win in the Champions League this week. I think Forest might lose again to pile the pressure on Postecoglou, maybe 3-1 to Newcastle. What do you think will happen in this game or other games that you are watching over the weekend? Let us know by coming along to our site and leaving a comment either below this post or on our forum. It's a really nice way to practice some of your writing, and you can leave a predictions voice note as well, and we'll be happy to give you some feedback on this and maybe even include it in our future podcasts.
My name is Massimo. I'm from Italy. My favorite team is Palermo, and you're listening to languagecaster.com.
Right, remember, you can contact us if you have any questions about the language of football or if you have some feedback on our podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Check out our website. Remember, it's now Learn English Through Football, and explore our football language forum where you can ask and answer any questions about all kinds of football language. And don't forget, we have a huge glossary of football terms, expressions, phrases, and cliches about the beautiful game of football. We also have some explanations and examples of some of the football language we have used in today's show, and you can find that by coming along to this post on learninglishthroughfootball.com.
你依家收聽緊 languagecaster.com。
Yes, you are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast, and that message was in Cantonese. Did you guess the other languages you heard on today's podcast? First, we had Korean, then Dutch and Welsh. After that, we had Catalan, and we also heard from a Zaragoza fan in Spain. And of course, that final message in Cantonese. Well done if you got any of those correct. And remember, you can add a message by sending us a recording for the Learn English Through Football podcast. We'd love to hear from you.
Muri22for22.com et Lamso.
And that was our latest stinger from a football fan in Cameroon. We heard from Tata last week, who said that he expected the Indomitable Lions, that's the Cameroon nickname, to qualify for the World Cup. Well, they are currently in second place in their group and have 2 World Cup qualifiers this week, away in Mauritius and then at home against Angola. Good luck to them.
You're listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast.
Right, let us know if you hear or see any of the phrases or words that we have talked about on this week's show, including to down a team or to down an opponent. We also looked at swaz, or curve the ball, and the phrase swat aside another team. How would you say these phrases in another language that you know? Or maybe can you tell us any examples when your favourite team has downed another team? Can you use today's phrases in a sentence? If you can, send it on to us here at Learn English Through Football. Enjoy all the football this weekend, and we'll be back early next week with another weekly football expression from the weekend's football. We'll also be looking at some of the World Cup qualifiers coming up next week. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.